These two nations have not played each other in 21 years. And it's not because the fixture didn't matter. It's because it mattered too much. Argentina versus England. And here's the detail that should genuinely shock you. Lionel Messi has never played against England, not once, in his entire career. 6 World Cups, over 180 caps, and the greatest player of his generation has never stepped on a pitch against the Three Lions until now. This isn't just a football match. This is a rivalry built on a war. And today, it finally collides in a World Cup semifinal. To understand the weight of this moment, we have to go back to 1966, Wembley Stadium, a match that became the incendiary spark for decades of hatred. Argentina's captain Antonio Ratin was sent off for verbal dissent by a referee who didn't even speak his language. He sat on the royal red carpet, a king in exile. England manager Alf Ramsey called the Argentines animals and forbid his players from swapping shirts. It was a slight Argentina would never forget, a badge of pride. But in 1982, the rivalry transcended the game. The Falklands War changed the stakes forever. This was no longer just sport. It was national identity written in blood. 649 Argentines and 255 British personnel lost their lives. The scars were raw when they met 4 years later in Mexico. June 22, 1986, Mexico City, Estadio Azteca. The day Diego Maradona became a god and an outlaw in the same match. A proxy battle for the islands. The hand of God, cunning, mischief, and a left fist that outwitted the English keeper. To Argentina, it was symbolic revenge for the young boys lost in the war. 4 minutes later, he produced the goal of the century, a 60-yard dash that proved their absolute technical superiority. The theft of the English pride was complete. The fire was rekindled in 1998. Saint-Étienne. The night, a young Michael Owen announced himself to the world, and a future legend faced his darkest hour. A flick of the leg, an exaggerated fall. David Beckham was sent off, and England was left with 10 heroic lions and 1 stupid boy to blame for the exit. Redemption came in 2002, Sapporo, Japan. 1 penalty, 1 strike. Beckham closed the book on 1998 and finally beat the demons of the past. But here is the paradox of the GOAT. Lionel Messi has conquered every trophy, every giant, and every continent, but he has never faced the Three Lions. Through 180 caps and 6 World Cups, he has avoided the one nation that defines the rivalry. To truly finish his story, he must overcome England. For England, this is the chance to end 60 years of hurt. To beat the world champions and the GOAT in one legendary night in the heart of Georgia. The history is written in blood and goals. But tonight in Atlanta, a new legacy begins. Argentina, England. The greatest match of our lives. The world is watching. To understand why this fixture disappeared from the calendar for 2 decades, you have to go back to 1982, the Falklands War. Argentina and Britain fought each other over a group of islands in the South Atlantic. Real soldiers, real casualties, a real conflict that left deep scars on both nations. 4 years later, in 1986, these 2 countries met at the World Cup for the first time since that war. And Diego Maradona delivered the most controversial moment in football history. The hand of God, punching the ball into the net with his fist right in front of the referee and getting away with it completely. Argentina won that quarterfinal. And then, minutes later, as if to rub salt in the wound, Maradona scored what's still considered the greatest individual goal ever scored at a World Cup, dribbling past half the England team from his own half. 1 game, 2 goals that would define football folklore forever. The rivalry didn't stop there. 1998. David Beckham gets sent off for a petty kick on Diego Simeone, and England go home carrying that as a national wound for years. Beckham was hung in effigy outside pubs back home. That's how personal this got. Then 2002, Beckham gets his redemption, scores the winning penalty against Argentina at that same World Cup. Small moment of payback, but nowhere near enough to settle the score. And then 2005. These two teams play a friendly. It's violent, it's chaotic, and after that match, the fixture just stops. No friendlies, no meetings, nothing. For 21 years, Argentina and England have simply refused to schedule each other. That's not normal for two major footballing nations. That's two countries that genuinely cannot stand to be on a pitch together unless they absolutely have to. And now, in a World Cup semifinal, they absolutely have to. So how did we even get here? Because honestly, neither team has been convincing. Argentina's path has been chaos from start to finish. A nervy 3-2 extra time win over Cape Verde, a nation of just 525,000 people who nearly knocked out the defending champions. Then a controversial 3-2 win over Egypt with VAR decisions swinging in Argentina's favor late on. Then Switzerland. Argentina were genuinely being outplayed for over 100 minutes, 1-1, until a second yellow card was given to Briel Embolo under a brand new and controversial mistaken identity VAR rule. Argentina then won it in extra time through a stunning strike from Julian Alvarez and a late Lautaro Martinez goal. 3-1. Chaos, controversy, but a win. England's road has been just as bizarre. A man down for the last half hour against DR Congo and still winning 3-2. A brutal, sweltering game at altitude in Mexico City. And then Norway in the quarterfinal, where England only had 2 shots on target in 90 minutes, but somehow forced extra time, where Jude Bellingham scored twice to send them through 2-1. There's even been controversy there too, a disputed goal line camera cable incident that fans still argue changed the entire game. Some are calling it Cablegate. 2 teams, 2 wildly unconvincing runs to the semifinal, and somehow here they both are. Now let's talk about the man everyone's watching, Jude Bellingham. He's 23 years old, and this tournament has turned into his coronation. 6 goals, 1 assist. That's 5 more goals than any other England midfielder has ever scored at a single World Cup. He's had the most sprints of any England player, the most touches in the final third. He's second in completed tackles, second in take-ons. He is statistically doing the job of 2 players. And on the other side, there's still Messi, 39 years old, playing in his 6th World Cup. And despite everyone saying Argentina's midfield is malfunctioning this tournament, he's still their top scorer. Still the reason defenses collapse inward just to contain him. But even Messi himself has admitted something's off, publicly saying his team isn't keeping the ball, isn't getting good pressure, isn't combining passes the way they used to. That's not a coach talking. That's the greatest player of his generation quietly sounding the alarm on his own team. So the story writes itself, the kid who's carried England on his back against the icon who's never even faced them. Here's what makes this even more explosive. Both teams are visibly cracking under the exact same problem, defense. Argentina have conceded in almost every knockout game. Their back line has been repeatedly exposed in transition. Cape Verde exploited it, Egypt exploited it, Switzerland exploited it for over 100 minutes. England aren't much better. They've given up goals to DR Congo, to Norway, and their goalkeeper has looked shaky in more than one big moment, which means this has all the ingredients of an absolute shootout. 2 historic rivals, 2 fragile defenses, 2 attacks capable of scoring at any moment, and a rivalry so toxic. These nations avoided each other for 2 decades rather than risk reopening old wounds. Some pundits are calling this a 50-50 coin flip. Others say England have simply looked like the better team. But nobody is calling this a quiet, boring semifinal. Think about what's actually on the line here. For England, this is a chance to reach just their 2nd ever World Cup final. For a generation of English fans who grew up on nothing but heartbreak against this exact opponent, penalty shootouts, the hand of God, decades of near misses, beating Argentina in a World Cup semi-final would rewrite everything. For Argentina, it's about defending the crown they won just 4 years ago, becoming only the 3rd nation in modern history to reach back-to-back World Cup finals, and doing it with a 39-year-old Messi playing what everyone assumes is his final World Cup. 21 years of silence. A war that started it all, a handball that defined it, a red card that scarred it. And now, finally, in the biggest possible stage, it gets settled. So here's what I want to know. Is this the biggest game in the history of this rivalry? Bigger than 1986? Drop your take in the comments and subscribe because we are covering every second of what happens next.